Grab Life by the Goals is the podcast for passionate badasses to get inspired, activate their potential, and crush their goals. In a nutshell, we do big shit around here. Whether you're looking to disrupt your career, start or grow a business, or simply have a more kick-ass life, you're in the right place. Come to be inspired, find your swagger, dream bigger, and take actual steps to level up your life. All with a side of real talk and raunchy humor. I'm your host, Lauren Widrick. I'm a life and business coach, and I'm right here on the roller coaster with you. Are you ready? Let's do this. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Grab Life by the Goals podcast. I'm here with somebody very special this week, somebody that I adore, I look up to, and is changing my business and my life. I'm so excited to introduce Jessica Lackey, who is a feminist business strategist, and she's here to share all of her magic and genius with us. So Jessica, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Lauren. It's going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, we're talking about adulting and why adulting is sexy. Believe it or not.
Never thought I would say those words, but it's so true. It's so true.
It's so true. Okay, so Jessica, I want everyone to get to know you first. So you're a feminist business strategist, but it's not how your career started out. So tell us about your background and how you came here, and then we'll share with the audience how we came together.
So I came up in the most corporate-y of corporate ways. I was trained as an engineer, worked at McKinsey & Company, a consulting firm, went to Harvard Business School, worked at Nike. So all of the accolades in a ascending corporate ladder career. And 7 years ago, I burned out. I realized I was my job, and I had become a cog in the machine, kind of sacrificing my life at the corporate altar, as I say. Mm-hmm. And so I've been on a journey since then to reclaim my spirit, my soul, my body, my voice. And that has led me to how do we bridge the gap between business and our souls, our spirit. And there's a different way to do business. And that's why a year ago, I, with the encouragement of Lauren and through her programs, left corporate to build my own business as this feminist strategy coach.
And I have to imagine that it's radically different than McKinsey, big consulting, Harvard. Like this world that we're in now, like the language you use probably didn't show up there at all, did it?
It didn't show up there at all. And I think that's where in the last 3 years when I moved here to Charlotte and had another corporate job, I felt this incongruence about the language I was learning and the life I wanted to lead and the life that seemed to be required in corporate America. So I set out on this mission to change the way we talk about how to run a business and set aside that constant, unrelenting growth model for a model that serves us better as humans in a natural world.
It's so fascinating. And you guys are hearing what I hear. The way Jessica talks is like nothing I've ever heard before because it's incredibly business savvy and incredibly different. It's feminine, it's seasonal, it stretches my brain. And the thing I have not yet said, I should have led with this, Jessica's on my team. She is my coach. She is my feminist business coach. And I never thought I would have a feminist business coach either. So let's talk about how we came together. I remember a year ago, you actually came into Slay Your Side Hustle and the squad and the community that we talk so much about. And fast forward a year later, you're a full-time entrepreneur.
It's been quite a journey. And I think it started, I actually did the self-guided Slay Your Side Hustle because I wasn't sure I could commit the time. And when I got into it, I was like, okay, things conspired at my job. I was like, this is the sign to leave. Everything's pointing in the universe. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I joined Slay Your Side Hustle. I joined Sales Swagger to learn how to sell with swagger. And the way I got to sell with swagger was by embracing my unique special sauce, my unique spirit, and my unique voice. And I can't thank you and my fellow squad mates, Sarah and Aaron, for being a part of encouraging that message and voice to come out. And it's really been over the last 6 months, I've really stepped into this world of how do we bridge business and operations fundamentals and basics with the concept that we have innate natural rhythms and natural knowledge about how to grow a business that we've been conditioned out of due to the forces in our world conspiring for constant growth, conspiring for privilege in the capitalist society. It's the way to run a business that's going to drive more inequality for the world. So how can we think about driving it our businesses differently.
Yes. And I remember you were in Sales Swagger or Legacy?
A sales swagger.
When these messages first started coming out. And it was an amazing eye-opener for me because I loved watching you grow your business and find your voice. And I may have had a small part in that. I know you have other coaches and mentors in that space as well. But as she started unfolding this message, coupled with showing us a template of a dashboard she was creating for a client, I was like, oh my God, this enchilada is amazing. Like, I want to bite. Like, I want whatever she's doing with her other clients. As happens so often in our squad, right? Like, people start out, one's the client, one's the coach, we trade roles, and it's really reciprocal. So there was a point in time, you asked us, so you were colleagues in Sales Swagger, and then graciously invited me as the coach to a workshop you were doing called Soul and Goal, right? Or was it Soul and Strategy?
It was Soul and Goal.
Soul and Goal. Okay. And so I sat there as a fly on the wall, and then I jumped in and participated, and I was like, my fucking mind is blown right now because I've been trying to do my own business the same way for 5 or 6 years, and my brain had never been stretched this way to think about like what I wanted, what my soul wants, what seasons are in business. And it was not long thereafter that I was like, I need Jessica in my world. I need her to help me with my business now. Let's trade seats. So Jessica is my COO, my business therapist, my strategist, my coach. We meet every single week, and she's helping me do my business radically differently.
Yeah. So when I first met Lauren, she was clearly an amazing coach. But as I got to know her, I started to see more dreams and desires that hadn't necessarily manifested in one-on-one coaching. And so when we worked together, there was this tension of, I have this solid business, but yet I want more for my life. And capitalism and the traditional business, what you see on social media, doesn't really have language for transitioning. It doesn't have language for sunsetting one business model, composting that business model and learning from it, setting the foundation for the next and tending to the seeds of growth. It just kind of assumes you're always on, you're always selling, always launching, always in a harvest mode. And, most traditional masterminds work with you on scaling.
Yep.
There's almost none that work with you on sunsetting and starting over. And that's what we were meant to do. Not to say you're starting over with coaching, because you're clearly not, but it's how do we diversify your revenue streams beyond one-on-one coaching for the things that you love to do. You're meant to be on a stage inspiring crowds of people because your message is really important and you have such a vision of helping people break free from vanilla. And it's hard to do that on a scale of one-to-one coaching or even small group coaching.
Yep.
That was what we were meant to do. But again, that transition takes time. It takes faith. And that's not something that's always feels like we're granted the permission to do in a social media friendly, always on environment.
Yeah. So Jessica, you just said that in a beautiful, eloquent way. I'll bludgeon it with a hammer. My business wasn't working for me any longer, period. And it's not to say I didn't love my clients. I didn't love the work. I didn't love the squad. I do. But something was missing and something was misaligned. Clearly, I've talked about this ad nauseum on social media and podcasts that 2021 was a year of a lot of effort and some amazing bursts of brilliance, but a lot of frustration for me. And so what's been beautiful about working with Jessica, and I promise you we're getting to adulting, is that instead of doing more of the same shit harder, she asked me to sort of slow down and take a step back and say, what is it you want? What does your soul want? Who are you meant to serve? How do you want to live? On a deeper level than I've ever experienced with any other mentor or coach. And so this is where adulting comes in, because my natural tendency, and shit, you guys, I'm a sales coach, right? Is to, all problems can be solved with money. Revenue hides sins. Let's just make some money and we'll figure it out. And Jessica's like, your soul didn't want that. You did that. And it broke down. So that's what I love about, you use the word radical a lot, radically different, radical commitments.
Yeah.
Right. And so this has been a radically different approach to not just growing my business, but myself.
Yeah. And when we say adulting, this was the season for Lauren to do adulting, because when you're really misaligned with your business or you feel like something's not working within your soul, you start to hide. You start to not touch your sales pipeline. You start to not be on social media. You start to not clean out your email inbox because you just look at it with dread. You're like, I don't want, very much like James Van Der Beek, I don't want this life.
Yes. Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues. And so you look at it and avoid it. And then you wake up, not that this was you, but you wake up and your house looks like it came out of the Hoarders show because you're like,
My house does look like that. Yes.
Because you just don't want to look inside. You're like, I know what's in here is something I'm not really prepared to handle. So I can't deal with it. And so that's why instead of trying to sell more, trying to push harder, we started adulting. And when we really looked at adulting, we looked at what I call business and energy hygiene and planning. Not to plan for, the next week, the next month. We looked at the next couple of months and are looking for landmines, which are things that you don't know that are coming that you need to prepare for.
Yep.
And then we look at the day-to-day habits and hygiene on your sales pipeline, on your inbox, on your task manager, all the stuff that we can let build up until it's almost unmanageable and very anxiety inducing.
Yeah. And
we work on cleaning it up, because the cleaning it up part's not the sexy part, but the getting clear on what you want, that's the sexy part.
It is. And so this is why it felt like the season of adulting for me is, one, the house was not in order, right? My systems were either non-existent or fucked up. Like you said, inboxes overflowing, a pipeline full of names, many of which were stale and not going to buy. So like trying to figure out what you want to do next in a super messy house is almost impossible, right? Because you're actually coming from a place of frustration, a place of lack, a place of shame. And so the vibe that Jessica instilled in me was like, you're not actually ready to figure out what you want next. So this is the time to prepare yourself to plant that garden. So let's talk about fantasies. Those dark, dirty little secrets in the back of your mind that nobody knows and you never talk about. I know what your fantasy is. It is slapping a resignation letter on your boss's desk because you started your own business and it's taking off. Does that thought turn you on just a little bit? If so, I want to talk to you about Slay Your Side Hustle, which is my signature 90-day program to go from business fantasy to cash flow, your first paying client. This program teaches you literally everything you need to start a professional business, from products to pricing to marketing to sales to operation to legal to client care. It's literally the entire playbook. And you get a squad. You get a ton of partners who are with you along the journey and balancing the same exhilarations and fears that you are on the business building journey. The next round of this program starts on April 4th, 2022, and you get 12 field-tested training modules, weekly group coaching calls, and a robust, mighty network to stay connected to your team in between the calls. It is a proven system that works. If this is turning you on, I want you to go to laurenwidrick.com/slayyoursidehustle for full program details and to register if you're ready. And if you need a little kick in the booty to make up your mind, let's have a quick no-pressure discovery call. Go to laurenwidrick.com and hit the Let's Talk button at the top of the page, and we'll jump on a Zoom and see if this really is the right next power move for your life and your career. Again, laurenwidrick.com/slayyoursidehustle. And if you're a badass and ready to make your fantasy a reality, I want to see you on the inside. And so you called it a moment ago, composting season. Like, don't plant the seeds yet. There's still dead brush. Yeah. I'm stealing your words, but like dead brush to clear out. And so that's what this winter of like, I'm starting to talk like Jessica. Grounding, clearing, cleaning with the faith that would allow space for the inspiration to come in.
Inspiration and magic doesn't come from a cluttered sales pipeline. It doesn't come from a inbox that scares you because it's overwhelming. It doesn't come from a task manager with like dregs of old life tasks on it. Yep. It doesn't come from a calendar that's overbooked and mismanaged.
Oh, yeah.
So in order for us to really get that space for magic and possibility to appear, we have to clean out the brush. We have to clean out what's not working and create lots of pockets of space for dreaming, for journaling, for doodle hour, for a clean diet. Adulting doesn't go just beyond the business, but it's also clean house, clean environment, clean diet, because all of the clutter contributes to this thrumming underlying anxiety that can also be all consuming. So it's not just the tasks and the what's in front of you that's consuming. There's this underlying feeling of, I don't have my shit together. I don't even know what's behind door number 1, door number 2. And that anxiety just takes up all our focus and energy.
Yeah.
And so in order to really get clear on what's to come, we have to get rid of that thrumming anxiety that comes from environmental, mental, spiritual, financial debris that has just piled up over time.
Yes. I want to give the listeners a couple of like hardcore examples that they can maybe draw from and practice in their own lives and businesses. So you and I did a lot of business cleanup and also mental hygiene as well. And then kind of over on the personal side of life, I've done house and health. So let's start with business. There are a couple of like hardcore habits you helped me instill, even though I was kicking and screaming like a toddler for some of them. One is like audience hygiene. There was, what did we call them? One is audience hygiene and the one is like internal hygiene.
Yeah. We had audience hygiene, we had sales hygiene, and then we had business admin. So the audience hygiene is, are you consistently every day going to comment on people's posts on social media? Because we know engagement's half the battle as message posting is. Sales hygiene, are you consistently following up with your leads? Are you consistently engaging them? Do you know who do you need to follow up with? And then business hygiene, are you cleaning up your inbox every day? Are you finding gold in your inbox of leads that want to work with you or people you need to get back to? Are you cleaning up your task list? You know, we got to, all the things that are plaguing your brain that are nowhere.
Yep.
We put them down on paper and then decided really what it is we didn't want to do. So we got all those open loops in your mind closed by doing those tasks at minimum a couple times a week, if not every day.
Ideally, they'd be done every day. So I'd say I'm about, 50% of where I want to be on this habit. But at first I was like, holy shit, all I do is clean, right? Clean my inbox, clean my DM inboxes, clean my client boxers, clean my pipeline, clean my admin, clean my task tracking drill. And I was like, I hate this. I hate this. So I will say, if anybody's listening and they're like, I don't want to do all that, I didn't either until I started to see the fruits. Because for about, 2, 3, 4, maybe more weeks, I was like, this sucks. It's pointless. I'm not really getting any like benefit from it. And you were like, have faith. Have faith. The next level leader, the next level servant that you're going to be for the world needs to have this shit tight so that your brilliance isn't dimmed by dumb to-do lists that are lingering in your brain.
Exactly. How has that shaped up for you so far?
I mean, like I said, I'm only about 50% where I want to be with the business hygiene. It's on my calendar every day. I say I probably hit it like 3 out of the 5 days.
That's good.
But I mean, I'll tell you what, one easy example is to close your laptop at the end of the day and know that crap is not lingering, or saying to yourself, okay, fine, I'm going to cook dinner with the kids, have a glass of wine, and then maybe at 8 o'clock I'll log back on and finish that little, no, it wrecks your night. So presence in the evening is an easy one. A second, probably, more beneficial to business is you do find gold in the email inbox in the DMs. So like, I would say by keeping my inboxes clean, I'm actually doing about 50% of my sales activity without any extra. I'm not having to boner poke or cold find leads. I'm like, oh my God, there's gold in the inbox. I was just not, you know what I mean? It's like having checks in your mailbox. You just don't check the mail, right?
Yeah. And I think the third is, you've been so much more vulnerable and creative because you're seeing the fruits of the first two show up, that there's more space. You're funnier. You're able to really live life the way you want to live it versus like being in fear of the monster to-do list and the inbox you don't really know about, right? Yeah. You're able to be more confident because you're very clearly on top of your game.
Yeah. And you helped me clean up my offers as well.
Yeah.
And it took a couple of swings. And that's okay. That's what I love about Jessica is it's not like instant gratification. Like, okay, this will soothe you like a piece of candy or a drink of alcohol. Like, no, like we need to actually get this right. So instead of selling the wrong thing, and I kind of tried in January, I was like, let's just sell some more evergreen slay your side hustles. And I actually didn't sell any, right? Because what the right thing to do for our soul is to do a closed intimate class in April. And so that swing in January was like a swing and a miss for the right reasons. And that patience brought us to the correct place.
And tell them about the adulting you're doing in your personal life with your diet, with the house, with your husband.
Well, this is what's great about Jessica is you look at the whole landscape. So when we went to our retreat in January, Sean and I, we went to our annual goal setting retreat in Vegas. And it was really cool because he even looked at me and was like, maybe don't set revenue goals this time. You've tried that before and you've either hit them and been stressed out or not hit them and hated yourself. Like, how about happiness goals? And maybe it was your influence, but I was like, okay, these are my 3 goals. Clean up my business, clean up my household, meaning my physical house and my calendar, and clean up my health. And so the business stuff Jessica and I have been talking about, the household. So a very simple thing was like learn how to calendar, because my brain is missing the lobe that does calendars. I don't know why. Most people are like, why the fuck don't you have that on your calendar? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to push the button of the calendar. So that meant Sean and I every morning are like, who's taking the kids, you or me? Like in the moment. And that would cause stress. Or at 5 o'clock every night, it would be like, what's for dinner? I don't know. Call DoorDash. Or who's taking Dylan to cheerleading tonight? It was so much decision fatigue and so much stress. And me being like, oh, Sean, I'm sorry. I have happy hour with the girls. I forgot to tell you, but I'm leaving now. And he's like, what? So like getting some systems and routines. So like the dinner schedule is now spaghetti Sunday, meat Monday, taco Tuesday, whatever Wednesday, and then takeout Thursday, and then pizza Friday. So like no more decision fatigue. That shit's easy. Sean and I have a driving schedule in the morning. So like he drives them to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I take them Tuesday, Thursday. No more decision fatigue. And probably like Jessica sitting here being like, no shit, Sherlock. How did you not have that? But like we didn't have it. But that has changed so much. Just having some systems in place.
Yeah. It sounds so boring. It really sounds boring to do this. But as James Clear says in Atomic Habits, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So anything we can do to avoid data fatigue, decision fatigue, by saying, I don't have to worry about when I'm going to do sales outreach because it's on my calendar.
Correct.
I don't have to worry about when I'm going to clean up my inbox because it's on my calendar. I don't have to worry about what am I going to eat for dinner because we've already planned it, and it might be boring, but there's some routine that just diminishes the amount of decisions we have to make through the day so that our brain isn't focused on the day-to-day minutia. It's focused on your brilliance, your gifts, your creativity, how to bring that to the world. Because in the season of transitioning from one source of revenue to diversifying, this is not the season, by the way, of real action and real, this is not the season where could be, but it's not like always the season where you're like, I'm going to like measure the amount of revenue that's coming in from speaking engagements.
Yes.
Because we're a little early for that. This is the time to be like, I'm going to have some baller ideas and I'm going to, birth them into the world, and I'm going to take massive, messy action and see what happens. And we can't take messy action when we're bogged down by the day-to-day dramas.
Correct. So this makes it sexy. And having these adulting structures in place. And I haven't even talked about health, but I did, I signed up for this place in Fort Mill where I live called the Holistic Wellness Center. And it's functional medicine, essentially. So I went in, did a blood test. They put me on an elimination diet. It's basically like Whole30. The second phase is reintroducing food, supplements, workout protocols, infrared sauna, all of this health stuff. And I'll tell you what, health is not just for like hot body, six-pack abs. It's for mental capacity, clarity, time, energy, sleep, sex, all the things. So like even dialing that in was not sexy.
Yep.
Because for the first 3 weeks, I was like, oh my God, I will kill somebody for a Ben & Jerry's right now. And when I, stepped on the scale or looked at my skin in the mirror, it was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like I woke up this morning to work out at 5 a.m. for the first time in 2 years. I'm like, I think this is how it starts to pay off.
Yeah. The bad thing is about the early stages of adulting. It's like lifting weights or doing a workout routine. You're like, I'm sore, this hurts, and I don't really want to do it. And you don't see the results right away.
And I'm not any skinnier or buffer yet.
Not any skinnier or buffer right away. And then if you have faith and you look at 2 months, 3 months, you're like, oh, wait, my clothes fit differently. Or I have more energy and I can sleep. Or, oh, wow, this speaking engagement showed up out of nowhere. And this money dropped into my checking account from, something that had been put in motion 3 months ago. And so part of the challenge of adulting is the fact that the results aren't immediate. And we've been having this conversation that the money in your checking account has nothing to do with what you did this month. It has everything to do with what you did in the past 3. Because it takes 5, 6, 7 times for someone to see your message before they're ready to pull the trigger because they've got to know, like, and trust you. And so adulting takes faith that you're putting in the right systems. That's why they have 66-day habit challenges. And it takes the partnership sometimes to say, I'm going to put my faith in an external processor that's going to help me stay true and stay focused and avoid squirrel brain, because if I can stay focused and build these habits and build these routines and build the strength, that's when magic and possibility and the infinite wisdom of the universe starts to show up, because we have now created the receptacle and we have prepared ourselves to receive it.
Yes. So I've been listening to Abraham Hicks lately and all this law of attraction stuff, and I've heard it called a fertile void. So for instance, if your container is full of junk, like the new sexy stuff literally can't fit. And I mean your energetic container.
Yeah.
Right. And so what things that are clutter, like I suck, this is a mess, I'm overwhelmed, my to-do list, like there's no space for new goodness to come in. So I even read a Tasha Silver book called It's Not Your Money.
Yep.
I think is the name of the book. Chapter 1 is about like cleaning your house.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what does this have to do with manifesting money or whatever? And it's saying like you have to create the fertile void. If you're living in an environmental clutter zone, like new clothes, for instance, or new abundance isn't going to flow in. So like clean your house.
Yeah. My tarot card reader, because I have one of those, obviously, she says, when I was looking to date someone and I was carrying a lot of baggage from my last relationship, she's like, you can't hug somebody with 2 arms carrying a full backpack.
Wow.
Got to drop the backpack.
Yeah. And so that's what this is. And trust me, as somebody who's an Enneagram 7, which means squirrel-brained, excited about everything, loves to start things, hates to finish things, a conversation about adulting was like, this is not cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's not spontaneous. It's not sexy. It's just the same Groundhog Day every day, every day, every day. But then, oh my God, give it 30 days.
Yeah.
Give it maybe 45 days, right? Like, give it some time. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, damn, life is good now. And that actually didn't take very long. In hindsight, it actually feels quick.
It's been very quick. And really, we think about it and we're like, it's March. And you had lots of trips planned in January. And there were lots of trips in February. And, there's stuff you'd already had on the books in the schedule. And so there's some unwinding that we had to do. And then some buildup that we have to do. And you look back on it and you're like, damn, that was fast. But also in the moment, it felt like it took a really long time.
Yeah, that's how pregnancy is, you guys. Like when you're in month 6, you're like, I've been pregnant for like 20 years, right? And then when you look back, you're like, oh, I did that twice. And it, not that it flew by, but everything's quicker in hindsight. So this is what I like about Jessica's approach. It's literally everything from your long-term vision to your midterm plans to your immediate like sensations and energy. So on our weekly calls, that's how it goes. We start with business therapy for 20 minutes, and then we do like somewhat like 1 to 3 month outlook, and then we do granular next steps.
Yeah.
It's like the best structured call you can imagine.
And we always start it with an anchor card from Tasha Silver, because we connect to more than what we can humanly know. We are connected just to more infinite possibilities. We are connected to more resources that are outside of ourselves. And I think that's what the magic comes in combining kind of badass business basics with this natural world concept of interdependence and cyclicality and seasonality that I talk about. Because again, by combining the more feminine and more masculine approaches to business, we can access more than we are able to know. And we can access, guidance that is potentially from a different source that guides us to possibilities that were infinitely different. I use that word infinite a lot because it's true.
Yeah.
It's more than we could know. And so how do we do the basics of business better in order to create that possibility that we could never have imagined?
It's a lovely way to start the call, because it would be very easy, and maybe the masculine approach, to just dive in and be like, open the dashboard, where's the to-do list, where you at, what got done, what didn't get done. And that works to some extent, but it doesn't feel as good to me, which matters. So a couple weeks ago, you pulled a card. I forget which card, you may recall. But the message on the card was, I am now ready to receive all those that need my help. I think it was work. I think the name of the card was work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it struck me in my soul and was like, this isn't about my fucking dashboard and my to-dos. This is about those who I'm meant to serve and making sure that I'm available to, they know I'm here to help. That is a spiritual way to start the call, instead of did I finish my Kajabi sales page this week? You know what I mean?
It's a spiritual way to live your life. And again, that's what business is. Yes, business is here to create wealth, and business is here to help us live lives of freedom. But business is here also as a way for us to get our soul's calling and mission out in the world. And so if we're not constantly paying attention to the broader purpose for why we're here, the broader calling, the whispers that our soul is screaming out, we can get buried by the to-do list and ignore the calls that we're meant to hear.
You're right. And one thing you've been helping me with immensely is my relationship to money.
Yeah.
And so my relationship to money comes from childhood, growing up in a very upper middle class neighborhood in a big brick house. No surprise, I live in one now. So I'm replicating my childhood where it was a keeping up with the Joneses environment. I live in a keeping up with the Joneses environment now and in business. And I've always measured myself, whether it was working in investment banking or as an entrepreneur, by how much money I was making. And when the money's good, you feel good. And when the money's down, you feel like an asshole and a loser and you suck on every single level. And so we're still probably working on this, but detaching your self-worth from money is a happier way to live. It's a more fulfilling way to live so that you can actually be of service to the people that need you and not transactional in nature.
Yeah, and detaching your worth from money means that we can properly manage the money with our friend Sarah Young's Profit First techniques.
Yep.
And also like discover what's in you that needs to come out. That's where the worth incongruence can come from, is like, I'm not expressing my gifts. I'm not doing my calling. I'm not, doing the work that lights me up. And so how do we disconnect the habits from the identity conversation?
Mm-hmm.
And then we connect them, like the identity you want to change begets the actions you need to do, which begets the habits that you need to put in practice every day. And it starts from that mindset. And by always starting with the spiritual side, the soul calling, the identity, we can then create that linear line from this is the identity, these are the behaviors, these are the actions.
And then I do in my soul believe money follows that energy.
Oh, completely.
And sticks. So detaching from money, I want you guys to hear this, does not mean no money. It does not mean a life of poverty and martyrdom in the name of service. I actually don't believe in that. I believe that when your soul, like your dharma or whatever you call it, when you're doing what you want to do, the money will follow. And if the money's not flowing, it's because you're misaligned.
Yeah. And I think one of the misconceptions of thinking about reimagining a capitalist business is that capitalism is bad, like making money is bad. And no, in order to be a thriving business, you have to be in business, which means that you have to be thriving for yourself and your family. And it's not about the martyrdom, and it's not about giving it away for free or undercharging. It's about honoring what value you bring, pricing for it, and detaching it from that self-worth.
Yes.
But it's about thriving for all.
Thriving for all. That's what it is. And detaching from money, like truly this, last year I went from 2020 monster revenue year to 2021 wonky revenue and profit year. And so what's 2022 going to be? The old me is like, well, let's get back to old levels. Like, let's at least match the high I had before. And now I'm less concerned with the revenue and more concerned with A, I'll be honest, being happy.
Yeah.
And then B, using that happiness to serve others. So I could go back and make money the same fucking way I did 2 years ago. I could make the same amount of money doing the same amount of things. That's actually not a mystery to me, but it didn't stick. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. My business was incomplete. So being a coach is fabulous, but I'm not just a coach. I'm like a multi-passionate, as you call it. So I want to be a coach and a speaker and a host of conferences and a podcaster and a content creator and maybe some other weird shit like an affiliate marketer. I don't know. Like there might be other little ancillary things in there too, but I want to do it all. And I don't know exactly how all of those will monetize, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's scary as fuck as somebody who, like I said, like coming from investment banking and revenue modeling, I'm like, I don't know where the money's going to flow into those containers.
And that's the best part about adulting is that
Yes.
You don't always need to know the outcome, but you know that by doing the basic habits that we know generate revenue, we don't need to know the outcome. We just need to know that in order to be a speaker, you need to pitch. In order
Correct.
to have an audience on Instagram, you need to engage on Instagram. Let's release the outcomes, because if we tether ourselves to specific outcomes, we deprive the universe of being able to provide us more than we could have imagined. So that's why adulting is sexy, because then you focus on the habits you know will yield results without having to know what the results are.
Oh, it's so hard, you guys. Like it's a truly radically different way of doing business, because I'm like, if I touch 15 leads, then 3 of them will be sales calls and 1 will close. It's like, no, that limited paradigm might only get you 1 client. Whereas instead, if you're like, I'm going to go sprinkle dust on all of these humans, and some corporation could come out of nowhere with some $50,000 thing for me. But if I was hyper focused on like getting 1 client for whatever, like that opportunity might have been cut off. Is anyone else craving a business conference? I'll tell you what, the biggest breakthroughs and the best connections I've ever made have been at in-person events, and I'm so excited to announce that we're hosting one. The squad and I are hosting the Scale to Six Figures Conference on Friday, March 25th in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, this 1-day conference will level up literally every area of your business, from strategy to sales to marketing to PR to branding to operations and finance, literally every area. And it's going to be a business building party. You're going to meet the coolest like-minded entrepreneurs. We're going to toast champagne. We're going to dance. It's going to be an amazing in-person event. Go to laurenwidrick.com/conference to sign up, and we will see you there. So just like you said, pitching your speaker sheet and then seeing what amazing humans are responding to it and following those breadcrumbs, like just loving on everybody on Instagram without really caring about the follower number, like creating bomb-ass videos on YouTube. I don't know where the money's going to come from.
And that's the part of the seasons of business. We don't need to know yet, because we've gone through the composting phase. We are now planting seeds. We're nurturing seeds. And guess what? When you're growing a garden, you don't know which seedlings are going to sprout.
True.
You don't know how high they're going to grow.
But you tend to them. You fertilize them. You water them. Like, you care for them all.
Yep. And that's
the adulting.
That's the adulting.
It's sexy, you guys. I promise. So if anybody here is a squirrel brain like me and is like, I don't want to adult, stick with it. Get somebody like Jessica to support you through it, because it's hard to do on your own. Yep. If you do it through willpower alone, you will fail. This is why diets fail. This is why, wake up at 5 a.m. fails. Is because there's no spiritual why behind it.
Yeah. But when you get connected to your why, you're like, the reason for doing these habits are clear, because it's supporting a higher mission.
Yes.
It's supporting that higher mission. And how can we birth your calling into the world? There's some habits involved, and there's some adulting involved.
Yeah. And to me, that's like an unfuckable commitment as well.
Yeah.
So like, do I want to not have ice cream for a month? Of course not. But I have an unfuckable commitment to feel amazing.
Yeah.
And to vibe high and to look hot. I'm going to be honest with you on that. So how do you adult? Are you like an adulting ninja?
I mean, sort of. I meal prep on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
I plan my week on Sundays. I have email hygiene every day. I do all my social media scheduling on Sundays for now. But there's parts that I wish I could be. My VAs tells me I need a content calendar more than 3 weeks out, and I'm still not there yet, because I'm still channeling lots of ideas about my business. So sometimes I come up with an idea on Friday that needs to go out in the newsletter on Sunday. So we're not quite there yet. I do track my time, which sounds awful, but is really great for really knowing where my time goes and making sure I'm potent in it. And I work out now in the mornings. I'm training for a ridiculous endurance event in August, and now that's happening. But I think the 2 habits that have really stuck with me since business school are planning every week and every month and every season, and meal prep and laundry on Sundays, because that's the one unlock for everything was meal prep on Sundays and having enough Tupperware for taking all my meals to work.
Yeah. I mean, talk about reducing decision fatigue.
Yep.
Right? Knowing what you're going to eat, knowing that that's handled, like you're not seeing piles of laundry accumulate.
Yes.
You know who has really good habits without even trying, I think, is Sean Daddy. Every morning I see that fool do 2 things. Unload the dishwasher and pop in a load of laundry.
Yep.
Every morning. So we keep our laundry separate, probably for this very reason. This morning I pulled this off the floor of the clean pile. So shit comes out of the dryer, goes in the clean pile on the floor. And then when it's time to wear it, I have to like shake it off, throw it back in the dryer, de-wrinkle it, and like there's piles of laundry.
Yeah.
but he does it every day and it never accumulates.
Part of the reason I had to do all the adulting habits was when you're in corporate, when you're in a high-powered senior leadership job, I was single at the time. And so I didn't want to come home after a 12-hour workday and cook food. I didn't want to come home and not have to just do the dishes. So part of this was looking at my time and leveraging when did I have some pockets of time, which was the weekend, and when was I managing my energy and know that I ain't going to do this shit at the end of the night because I am tired and I want to spend the some time I have with my friends. And so that's when I had to build these systems to get out of the fog because I was only me. And so I didn't have anyone else to share the burden of household management with.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited. Maybe you can come back on in a few months so we can do Adulting 201 because I want to seeing the benefit from even just kind of sort of implementing the habits I have now has been tremendous. And I'm like, what if I did my laundry every morning?
Yep.
Oh my God. I wouldn't be scrambling for underwear at 4 a.m. to go to the gym like I was this morning.
Yeah. So Adulting 201, spoiler alert, we haven't really talked about what it is, but it's really thinking about documenting processes so that you can start leveraging help. It's looking at planning, not just at a weekly or monthly level, but really considering the entire arc of your year and season. So you're really looking for those leverage points in your business and consistently showing up to do them. And I think the third part about Adulting 2.0 is really having a complete goal hierarchy from identity goals to activity goals to habit goals.
Identity goals.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a reason we haven't done this yet. I'm probably not ready.
You're on the verge. That's what composting and adulting was all about.
Oh, I want to do that. You haven't even talked about that stuff yet. I'm going to ask you to share with people how they can work with you, but I have another concept of yours I want to share, which is the dates that you should have with your business every month.
Yes.
To me, this is a little bit of Adulting 2.0 for entrepreneurs. So can you share some of those dates?
Yeah. So you have your finance date, which is when you look at your books and do your profit distributions and your allocations if you're doing the profit first system.
Yep.
The second one is your visibility date. So again, if they can't see you and find you, they won't want to work with you. The third date is your pleasure date. So, how do you go on a date with yourself or go on a date with your partner? You have your planning date for sure.
Yeah. We can put it in the show notes.
Okay.
And I believe you have a post.
I have a post on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I love about this is there are these dates that, one, it's adulting because every month you have a visibility moment, whether it's a webinar or a panel or a live or whatever you do, an event to be visible. You don't have to have decision fatigue. Every month you do that to keep your business healthy, right? It's like aerating the lawn or I don't know. Is that a good example? So it's something you do on a regular basis to keep it healthy. And then your finance date once a month, your pleasure date, your planning and goal setting date.
Yeah.
We'll find that fifth one.
Yeah.
But knowing that those are on the calendar, what a beautiful month.
Yeah. That's how I run my business. And that way, again, that adulting, though, it's where you can't just set a visibility date the month of. You need to be planning for it a week or a couple months in advance so you can secure the right guests, secure a venue. This is where we talk about Adulting 2.0, which is looking farther out at the arcs of your business and planning what those are going to look like.
Yes. Okay. So I can say without a doubt, you've made adulting extremely sexy. And it wasn't to me at first. And now I can see the benefit, the beauty, not just that life is easier and more streamlined, but the magic flows in, the inspiration, things have been popping off just this week where I'm I think this is the fruits of the labor of the last 2 months.
It very much is. New roots to new fruits.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Well, it's not mine, but I'll take credit for it.
Then let's buy that person's t-shirt because that's so good. Okay, Jessica is, a revelation, in case you can't tell. I love her. If you are looking for a COO or a strategist or somebody to help with goals and seasons, Jessica's the girl. So how can people find you and how can they work with you? What are your containers and ways to serve your clients?
So I work with individuals through one-on-one. All our coaching conversations start with a seasonal intensive where we get really clear on your vision, mission, the arc of your season, and what you should be thinking about for your seasonal commitments. And then we work together in either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly conversations about tending to those commitments and growing in your business. I also do one-off 90-minute sessions called Radical Unlock sessions where we help triage tasks or projects or really start the conversation about this radical reclamation of your soul. And then I also have the Radical Strategy community on Mighty Networks, where every month we have a Radical Strategy masterclass. We have a co-planning session where we plan together. And I do have the dates in my planning session that we talk through. So that way you are doing some of this heavy adulting work in community with other entrepreneurs and other people who are interested in doing business radically differently. So those are the ways you can work with me. You can find that on my website at jessicalackey.com or find me on Instagram, jessicalackey_consulting.
It's beautiful, you guys. I'm in the community, the Mighty Network of Jessica's, and it is just wonderful to be with other women who are thinking about business differently and supporting one another, and do the Radical Unlock session. Like, if you want to get a little taste of this, that's a great way to do it in 90 minutes. So, Jessica, I love you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.
You've been transformative for me on a deeper level than I can verbalize, and I'm just very grateful for you.
It goes both ways. I wouldn't have had the confidence to step into my voice if it wasn't for your coaching and the support. And that's why I'm also really excited that we're part of this squad here in Charlotte of women and men who lift each other up, because walking this road alone is so hard. And knowing that you're not in it by yourself is transformative. It's a game changer. It
is. The power of the squad. I can't say it enough. So, guys, if you don't have a squad, whether you're in business or looking for people to support you in life, adulting does not have to be for entrepreneurship. It can be health, business, relationships, house, financial planning, all of it. We are here for you. So reach out to Jessica, as she mentioned, on Instagram, or me at Lauren Widrick, and let us know what you thought of this episode, and we will leave you with that. So guys, as always, grab life by the goals, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Grab Life by the Goals podcast. If you loved this episode, I would be thrilled if you subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast, so that you can get notified when an episode drops and we can rendezvous like this every single week. If you're feeling frisky, maybe slap a 5-star review on this bitch, and maybe even some comments about what inspired you from this podcast episode. This is simply so more people can find us and join our squad of badassery. I love me some Instagram, so come find me. My handle is @LaurenWidrick, and if you screenshot and share this episode with your peeps, I'll come shower you with all the virtual hugs and kisses. Until next time, grab life by the goals, my friend.